Hello, viewers out there. Welcome to another interesting episode of Agribusiness Talk with Dr. Peter Daniel. In this episode, just like I promised you in other episode, that I will do a special section that will be devoted to agricultural insurance. It's just to ensure that you know that the risk and uncertainty that you always think about or you put ahead of investing in agriculture, there is a way around it. And today in this session, I have Dr. Ajayi Godfrey. He's an agribusiness expert and has over 20 years of experience. I'll allow you to meet him. Doctor, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Peter, for the opportunity to talk about the things that we love, the things that we believe will shape the world. Uh, Risk is everywhere. The greatest risk is this risk of sleeping and not waking up. So, will you now say that if I have the possibility that if I sleep this night, I'm not going to wake up, that I won't sleep? Okay, so the answer is completely no. So, risk is life, and risk is part of everything. And with a good insurance, you're good to go. Uh, it's about garbage in, garbage out. You put a shipload of petrol from Russia to Africa, and you're not afraid that it will sink. Okay, and you invested so much money. So just to put more money in agri, you are complaining. So bear in mind that you must eat.
Yes, you must eat.
So,
You
and
must eat.
if you must eat, then you must do agric.
Yes.
And if you must do agric, then we must do all the necessary insurance.
Thank you very much for the brief background and context. So, Doctor, just to our viewers, those that are probably new into the agri space or may not even know what insurance is, can we enlighten them? Let's lay a background. What's the insurance in context? What does it really mean?
Okay, so when you talk about insurance, you are talking about paying a premium to be able to mitigate the risk so that in case there is any loss or losses, then you will be able to, you'll be compensated at the end of the day. So it's not different from the normal insurance that you do in other sectors, life insurance, transport insurance, and every other form of insurance. So it's just we're now saying you do it for agri, pay a premium, get your risk in place, and in case there is loss, then you will now be adequately compensated. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, taking from that, I want to believe that I don't know. Can we? Is it right to say that there is insurance in the agri space in Nigeria as of today?
Well, couple of issues that has to do with agriculture. First of all, the people have the mindset that look, the risk in agriculture is too big. So today, before now, there was an act that mandates only NAEC, that's Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Corporation, to be the only person to do the agri insurance. So that forbids quite a number of insurance companies from going into agri. But I will tell you that as of today, that has been lifted. Okay, the president of African Development Bank, when he was the minister of agri, did a lot of works around agri insurance to ensure that people, the awareness is created. So today there is insurance, but it may not be as you expect.
Okay. Do we, okay, for someone who wants to invest in Nigeria, for instance, we already have this knowledge that there is risk, there's uncertainty, the climate change, flooding, maybe biannually, we always have these occurrences, crop loss, rice, and all. So, what is the percentage of, could you have an idea of the percentage of farmers that is covered by insurance
Yeah.
currently?
Yeah, talking in terms of percentages, our agric is still largely smallholder driven. Okay, so it means that except you compel them, they may not readily want to do insurance. I've done a couple of programs prior to now, and I remember vividly to mention a bank that will work with them, Keystone Bank. Okay, so we gave the farmers a loan for 2 years, and they were supposed to pay back every season. So from the beginning of that loan, there was upfront deduction of the insurance. And agric normally seasonal takes a period of uh, 3 to 4 months for a particular season. So we deducted for that season, and luckily that year there were no losses. So when that season ended, we were to now do the dry season, and we now had to tell the farmer that, look, there's a need for you to insure against the next season, and the farmers declined. That it's only God who determines
whether anything will happen or not.
Whether anything will happen. Unfortunately for them that year, there were
losses.
There were floods.
Oh.
Okay, so and they couldn't really recoup. So insurance in other sectors, just like agric, it's difficult for people to want to part with money for that premium. So the percentage is coming up. I will tell you that because it's smallholder driven, the percentage by now is a bit low. Yeah, but for the big farms, there's no way you would take a loan above certain figures that the bank will not ask you to do insurance. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, and now, are there particular? We know more of the risk, as it were, is targeted or more prevalent in production. Those in the production activity, that's the farmers.
The farmers, yeah.
What of are they particular? Is it that insurance is targeted at production, or it has other value chain it covers? That's particular in the agri space now.
Working with insurance with NAEC previously, they will tell you that, again, you need to understand the perspective of the insurance. Insurance is to bring you back to production, okay? And the majority of the risk actually lies in production, okay? Because there are the issues of pests and diseases, issues of weather. Today you have climate change. So, and that's the mistake a lot of people make. In agric, there is a value chain, okay, which starts from, of course, production. You talk about marketing, then you now talk about the aggregation and of the processing end. If you're doing equipment, for example, it's mandatory that you have to do insurance for equipment. So the one that is a bit difficult and tricky is the production. Okay, so most of the loan facility come with prepaid insurance packages. Okay, so the one that is a bit tricky is that of production, and that's where you have the smallholder farmer, and it's actually much more difficult to convince them. But if an enlightened person is coming into agric, for example, from your experience in real estate and some other sector, it becomes automatic for you to say, look, insist that, look, I want to do insurance.
Okay. That's well said. Okay. That means if we now pay attention, let's say just look into the smallholders, it means from where I see it, maybe there's a little gap in awareness, knowledge, or apart from the culture, probably they've not come to understanding the importance at the end. Because from the example you cited, it means since nothing happened in the first time they paid, they feel they were running at a loss. So why should they pay? Probably nothing will also happen. Bank will have
so that issue is always there. I participate in the group life assurance with a particular insurance company. And before we got into that scheme, the question could be that, look, I kept paying premium every year. So what happens if I don't die? So the question is, what happens if you die? So the premium is always very negligible. I have a life insurance on my life, for example, and every year they tell you, okay, pay 12,000 for your life. Okay, so that's considering the risk that you carry on a daily basis. So pay 20,000 to secure your life. I don't think it's a big deal. So the farmers, again, like you mentioned, their cultural belief, where is this money going? Okay, don't forget that insurance is a pool. Okay, we're not expecting the loss to happen to everyone at the same time. So you pull into that, and in case it happens, okay, Recently, the fire incident in America,
Yes.
okay, the insurance couldn't cope again.
No, can't
So
cover.
governments had to come
Come
in
in.
because the extent of
The
destruction
yes.
and the mass nature of the destruction was so massive that insurance, they had to cry out. And that's where government comes in right now. So there's a cultural dimension to that. There is awareness also. Again, where I kept reading this premium,
Yes.
So what about the year that it will happen? And don't forget, for me, doing agric in Nigeria, in the last 20 years, you discover that flood and drought happen every other year. So what does that mean? It means that if you do insurance may not happen, I mean flood may not happen this year, but 2 years time, it's likely going to happen. So
that's been consistent. It's like almost biannual. It happens.
So
like
it
that
just makes sense for you to do the right
thing. Into it. Okay. So now for someone who wants to, I think we've been established the basis. Okay. Take that, please. Okay, for someone who wants to come into agribusiness, we've established the basis. We've already tried to throw light on what it means, the importance of insurance, and the pros and cons in it. That's particularly your money now, the culture part. How will he come in? Say, for instance, I'm coming into rice production.
Yeah.
So how do I secure an insurance? Where to go? How to go? And how do I get my farm secure?
Okay, so since we're also trying to enlighten people in the diaspora, people who want to invest, let me give them a bit of knowledge that has to do with what is called an outgrower scheme. Okay, so essentially, you want to come into rice production. Let me also mention that rice is not a commercial crop. Okay, so we're just using rice as an example.
Yes.
And being the fact that all my life it's been rice throughout. Okay, so if I want to go into rice production, for example, you will not find anywhere in Africa where you will find 1,000 hectares of rice farmland in a contiguous
in one place,
owned by a particular person. So the best approach now is for you to probably use what various form of outgrower scheme. So there are modified outgrower scheme where you can go into a community, you profile the farmers, you allow them to work in their farmland, and at the end of the day, you give them all the necessary inputs, they harvest, and they give you buyback, and you have the option to buy from them before any other person. So when you have that kind of scheme, let's assume you profile about 1,000 farmers. So bring in an insurance company to probably tell you what the premium will be. So you can decide to pay on behalf of all the farmers. So that's in case you are giving them input. So the question now is insurance like also a form of input. So if you treat it that way as a form of input, you're getting fertilizer, you're getting agrochemical, you're getting seeds. So why can't you get insurance as a cost
and add it to
your cost of production? So it makes a lot of sense like that. So once you get an insurance company, it tells you what the premium is, probably in the region of less than 1%. Then you make that payment. Okay, so where people also often now come to make mistakes is, as you monitor the farm, as those risks becomes prevalent, you also have to inform them that look, this is what we are experiencing. Okay, so and the insurance company has to get very innovative. Okay, sitting down armchair insurance will not work. You have to come up with products like index insurance, weather-based insurance, bundled insurance, where you can use temperature, for example, to say, look, if temperature falls below certain degree within the production period, I'm going to pay this amount of insurance. Okay, so once you identify the insurance company you want to work with, ask them this thing. But as they occur, please try to inform them so that they can come and verify. Take pictures. We're in the era of digital photography now, where your smartphone and your camera are synonymous. So as those incidents are happening, you are reporting live to the insurance company. They come to verify. But I will tell you now that they pay. Yeah.
Okay, because sometimes experiences from the field, the question, I think we had a particular scenario that will be in Niger State now. The farmers kept saying that they did, of course, farmers we don't know sometimes whether they are saying the truth or otherwise. But let's want to say that's what they did, that they took pictures and all they needed to do based on instruction given them by the particular insurance company they were working with. And they submitted all evidence to make claims. I think in that case was for flood.
Okay.
But nothing eventually came to them that they didn't get. So what they were now told was probably the insurance did not cover that or some kind of English
Yeah.
like that.
So there's that issue. Insurance is regulated.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have genuine claim, you can always go to the regulators to compel the insurance company to pay. But again, lack of disclosure. Okay, as like let's assume you're doing livestock, precisely maybe you're doing poultry, for example. Yeah. Okay, so now if you insure your birds, okay, and you suffer losses, the insurance is to bring you back to where you suffered that loss.
Okay.
Okay, so but the farmer will be expecting the total
cost of production
to be
refunded.
So let's assume rice, for example. Yes. Okay, it takes you about 4 months, 3 to 4 months for you to be able to farm that. So if you experience loss from, let's say, when you planted, okay, so what cost have you incurred at that point? You've incurred the cost of planting, the cost of planting, and all those ones.
Maybe applying agrochemicals
and all these things. Yes. So the insurance will take you back
so that you can redo that activity
again.
But not to pay you.
So it's to bring you back to production. Okay. So it depends on at what point that
risk
happened. Yeah.
Okay. So what I draw from that is that it means that if you're coming to get an insurance as part, like you have rightly said, add it as your cost of production. Ask questions to know what is actually covered, so you are properly informed.
Yeah.
And because before now, I would think that the insurance will at least give you something, if not cover all the cost of production. For instance, the cases of flood. Yeah. You know, sometimes the flood comes when your rice is already tasseling. Okay. It's already producing gradually, and now you are almost at the brink of harvest.
Okay.
Now it comes, there is no harvest.
Okay.
Yeah, at that time you have finished spending all
the money. So in that case, they have to, pay you the entire sum. Okay. But if it happens at the point of planting, the amount you will get will be different from at the point of harvest.
So, but even at that point of harvest, they are not paying you profit you are going to make.
No,
it's just the cost
to bring you back.
Exactly.
To make sure that you don't suffer that. So, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. It does. I think the expectation for some is that
if you look at the two sectors, the two financial sectors, the insurance and the banking sector is more real. As like I put my money in the bank. Even I want to come and carry it. But the insurance is not. It's not like that. So insurance generally all across the world, people view it with appetite, like you are putting your money that you're not likely going to get back
or use. Eventually. So it does look like
But let me mention the case when one of those air crashes that happened. Yes. One of those victims, approach the insurance by himself as like he knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
Okay, and pay the premium, and he was asking them to activate. 6 months later, he had a crash and died. And the family was the ultimate benefactor at the end of the day.
I think largely, Dr. Sir, I think the culture here, because we are bedeviled with what to eat almost every day and everyday crisis. There are some things that some products that are out there that we can actually benefit from, not just in the agribusiness, even in your normal day, everyday life, even as a civil servant. But lack of awareness, information, and current challenges, you don't give attention to it. Okay, now we've established now, I think viewers by now, you now know that agric is not that risky. It's just having the right information. I mean, if you are going to invest 200,000, for instance, and you are certain of getting the 200,000 if it goes as a result of risk that is covered by insurance, I mean, why not put in the money there, pay the premium, and add it as a cost of production? just like we have strayed in this episode.
Yeah, like we always advise people, you know, any business you want to do, whether it's agric, whether it's processing, whether it's other enterprise,
Yes.
the first thing to do is to sit down and identify all the risk. Okay? And we're saying that for those who really want to invest now. Sit down as a matter of policy, sit down and write down what is likely going to go wrong. Okay? So after you have established everything that is likely going to go wrong, then you prioritize. If which one is likely going to happen faster, and if it happens, which one is going to have the greatest impact? So once you identify the risk, you prioritize the risk. Then the next thing is to mitigate the risk.
Yes.
Okay, so there are some risks that you cannot mitigate. So what do? You transfer to an insurance company to say, look, we know that earthquake, if it happens,
Yes.
nobody can predict
Yes.
it. Okay, so you look for a good insurance company and transfer to say, look, help me take care of this risk in case it happens. So if you can insure a ship that is laden with petrol
Yes.
on the high sea,
Yes.
and you know how much that is
That
involved,
will cost
so the possibility of that ship sinking is there. So if you plant maize, for example, there's a possibility that the water may not be sufficient. Okay, and so once you identify the water may not be sufficient, so if it happens to be drought, and now we are talking about climate change, which is real.
Yes, it's real.
Okay,
It's evident.
it's very real now.
Yes.
So you have no choice than to transfer all those risks. So don't do agri without insurance.
Okay. Just to further talk to how will a farmer that's already done insurance, what are the things he needs to do to be able to 100% make a claim to the insurance in case of any loss? Because some of the challenges on the field is they don't even know how to go about it. Sometimes as if the insurance was imposed on them and they just have to do it. Now, what do they need to? You mentioned earlier, take pictures and all. What are those things you need step by step to get back in case?
Yeah, let me come to first of all mention the problem with agriculture, which has to do with small scale nature. Okay, just like okay, we were all working Yaba. Yaba is in a village in Abaji area council, is a rice producing community. Okay, I'm a single farmer doing 1 hectare, and it will cost me about 500,000 to be able to do the cost of production for that. So now, will I be able to, as an insurance company, will I be traveling to Yaba to go and insure that one farmer? So, most likely no. So you see that where the problem is. So like I'm a farmer now, I'm determined to do insurance, but because of the small nature of my transaction, it becomes difficult. So that's where community-based insurance comes in. But coming back to your question, which has to do with what are the step by step, the first thing that we have mentioned that you want to do rice production, for example. What are those common risks that are associated with rice? Flooding. Okay, so once you do that, you probably talk to an insurance company. Make sure that maybe you have one or two other farmers that are doing similar thing to you to be able to attract that insurance company. So once you call up the insurance company, they come to visit, they assess the risk. Your premium is based on the risk perceived. Okay, so once they look at the risk, okay, these are the risks available, then they will now give you the premium. So you make the premium payment, then they will now do documentation. You say, okay, we have recognized that this guy has been captured under the insurance scheme. Then you look at your production. So as you go by, you probably maybe pests and diseases, you begin to see strange pests and diseases attack the farm. Then you invite the insurance company to come and see. I've not seen this before. This is what's happening right now. So they will quantify. Okay. Then, like we always say, take pictures, send to them, make sure you document. Then you now call them, they come see. Then if the risk become evident, then they will go back to their office. And within 2-3 weeks, they should be able to process to pay you back for the cover that you have actually taken at the end of the day. So it has to do from the point of from production, identify the insurance company, They determine what the premium is. Then you pay the premium, do documentation, then follow up transactions to see when those risks become prevalent,
and make your claim.
And make your claim. And in case you make a claim and the insurance company is telling something else, talk to the regulator.
Yeah. So keyword there is that there's a third party, a regulator that can come and checkmate if there are things not going on well. So you are not in limbo if the insurance company.
Yeah, because of the regulator part of it, the insurance company, they are also very
sitting up.
They are sitting up.
Okay. Are there innovations in the insurance space? Are there new innovations that may be more attractive? Because we've been doing this traditionally for quite some time. So are there new things that probably farmers new products that will attract new investors and say, okay, since this is not going the traditional way, these are new innovations. Are there innovations in the space?
Yeah. I always say that East Africa, when it comes to agriculture, they are ahead in Africa because they don't have oil. So they rely 100% on agriculture. So because of that, they've gone ahead of West Africa. Okay, so, but however, a lot of West African companies are coming up to try to do innovations like Pula Insurance is here now. Okay, there's something called index-based insurance. Okay, so like I mentioned, you take maybe water as an example that rice needs, and they've been able to calculate how much quantity of water or moisture that rice will require in the production year. So if in a particular year they discover that the moisture content wasn't as predicted, didn't get to that level, they trigger off a payment automatically.
Wow.
So that's index insurance. There's also weather-based insurance. There's community-based insurance.
I think weather-based. Weather-based. Because I think that's one of the challenges in Nigeria. We don't want to hear that because it does look like the insurance company will be paying too much. Can we adopt it? Can that work in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's working elsewhere, and that's what we actually need now. That's what we need now as a nation. We need to actually go innovative. So it will work, and it's working elsewhere. So why can't it work here? Because the traditional insurance is not working. In the sense that farmers still have agreement with the insurance company. I inform you didn't come, you didn't pay what you're supposed to pay. But with all those innovative-based insurance, it's a trigger. Once weather falls below certain expectation, it triggers off the payments automatically. So this one, there is no argument. It's because it's data driven. It's data driven.
Okay. I will x-ray some innovations. I don't want you to give them all out. Not for free.
No, why can't Pula Insurance come and sponsor this program, for example? Because again, we're creating awareness for them, and they're trying to come in big into West Africa, and people really need to know. Pula is doing quite well, and I think they should come and sponsor this program.
I hope it gets to them. Policy. Can we talk policy? As we begin to close, what is the government doing? Maputo declaration say give 10% to agriculture.
On your budgetary.
I doubt if we're doing up to 3%. Even at 3%, what is the budgetary release? Sometimes less than 40%, sometimes 40%, not even 50%. So where does policy come?
You're trying to touch on very sensitive. You're trying to touch on very sensitive.
Where do policy come? I want to agree that probably they are overwhelmed with the current. Policy come?
Inconsistency is a major problem in agriculture. Not only in agriculture, in budgetary inconsistency. Today policy today is different. And there was a point in time a certain government was up and doing. Talking about that. Before I told you there was an act that mandates only NAEC to be the only one to do it. So you already cut off
a lot of private investors that may want to
come in. So by that single act alone, the private insurance company just switched off. So there was not a policy that, look, there's a need for us to liberalize. So people like Leadway and other, we're calling them now so that you come and sponsor this program. They came into the agric space because, again, agric is something that you do on a daily basis. If you choose now to fast for 30 days and 30 nights, okay, what are you going to break it up with?
Food.
So it means that food is the most singular, important aspect of the economy that should be looked into. Okay, right now we're not doing that much. So government is trying by the day to see how they can enact policies that will help to ensure the farmers. So right now, other private sectors are coming in, so they should work more on areas of innovation. How can we bring order? We talk about warehouse receipt system. If you have a system of warehouse receipt system, for example, now, these are products that triggers off insurance by themselves. They carry insurance alongside with them.
Yes.
Okay? So if you have a warehouse receipt system, we've even developed a product we call a product-based subsidy scheme. Okay? Today, government can make an announcement to say, look, a bag of maize, now let's assume it costs 50,000. I'm assuming now.
Yes.
And a bag of fertilizer, let's assume it's 50,000.
Yeah.
So if you want to subsidize that sector, for example, you tell the farmer, bring 5 bags of maize and come and get 8 bags of fertilizer.
Wow.
You understand?
It's product based now.
It's product based. You understand? So you will see within a twinkle of an eye, the government will mobilize that products and give out the inputs that the farmer requires
to encourage
with a subsidy
yes.
On it and insurance on it. Do you understand? Then at the end of the day, there will now be products, maize, rice, sorghum, across. Then you now call the Bonvita companies to say, look, I have these metric tons of maize in somewhere around Kaduna State.
Yes.
Can you just pay and come and mop it up? So you are stimulating the economy. You are creating employment. The farmer is happy. When the Anchor Borers program was done, I remember the time of President Buhari, the first place he went to flag it up was Kebbi State.
Yes.
Okay, so, and that year, I tell you, farmer went to Mecca, because they had abundant harvest.
Yes,
there was insurance tied to Anchor Borers program. So rather than throw the baby away with the bathwater, that's the Anchor Borers program now. Wonderful program. Built on Anchor. Government came and said, dude, they too wanted to be Anchor. That was where it started failing. Okay, so with a program like Anchor Borers program, there is an insurance that is tied to it. So government should really come up and
again, that's also talking. That's another policy somersault. Yeah. It's working well. Then somebody trying to be innovative now not properly guided.
Yeah.
So the long and haul of some of what we'll be saying in the episode, there are opportunities there in the agri space, and the risk can be mitigated, and some can, of course, be completely insured on. And if you get a good consultancy service, if you want to go into the space you don't know about agri, you will be properly guided how to get the insurance, even how to go into the production ab initio, right? So, but now we've identified so many things where the government need to come in and all. So creating awareness, the National Orientation Agency is there, the Ministry of Agriculture is there, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Who do we tie it to? So that farmers, because particularly in the north and even in the south, the interiors where the farmers are, they don't know that much. Now, just like you mentioned, the outgrower scheme, which is a very good product you can look into, that can be facilitated for you, right? You must not be involved in your money, that will be facilitated for you. You will still need these farmers in the long run, except you are going to hide it from them that there's something added, which is insurance. So it means they have to be aware, awareness has to be created. So who do we tie this responsibility to?
Well, difficult question.
Because I just feel it just like we do other jingles, make Nigerian great, all this other thing. And farmers,
everyone has his role to play. The Federal Ministry of Agric, so if there is Federal Ministry of Agric, they should look around generic areas, and that will. I mean, today, if a farmer in US is sneezing, the government is sneezing. Okay, so it means that uh, government really the number one purpose of government is to make the welfare of the people their priority.
Yes.
So if food production is one of them and insurance is going to be part of that, then why can't Ministry of Agri take that up? Then National Orientation Agency can look for how to come in. Then bottom line also is the insurance company themselves should also play a role. If you are talking to Pula Insurance, for example, now they should be able to drum enough message around innovative insurance scheme for farmers who want to, buy and pay less so as to stimulate interest. And at the end of the day, if there is if there are issues, you pay off. So it's a total gamut of awareness campaign from the federal to the National Orientation Agency to the insurance company themselves, then the farmers associations.
Wow. They can also add that as a product or a service they provide for their members. Okay, for want of time, and so that we don't keep your viewers out there too, we can't exhaust all in this single episode. Or if there's need, we'll invite Dr. back to another episode to further delve in. And that's where your comments, your questions are very important. If there are places we feel we've not talked to, you can put that question there so that we forge a next episode around insurance so that we give you that information. Last word, please, before we wrap up the show.
Yeah, thank you, Doc, for this opportunity. Agribusiness is very dear to our hearts. We must eat, and we must eat well. We must be able to stimulate production. The issue around security now is a major headache. Okay, so you finish giving a farmer or group of farmer a training on good agronomic practices, and he buys into it, and he now asks you a question: if I get to the farmer and get killed, what happens? Then all your training, all your teaching comes to an end. So the farmers like to farm because, again, whether you like it or not, as soon as the rain starts falling, our parents, naturally
start gravitating to the farm.
But I tell you today, as an enlightened farmer, you can actually wear a white suit to the farm when you are using an outgrower scheme. They have 1,000 farmers working for you on their own farmland, so you don't have to buy land to do that. So you're working on their existing farm. So you have a single contract with them. By the time you finish, we'll get equivalent of what we have given to you. Then we'll have the right of first refusal for the excess that you produce. So when you have that kind of synergy, so because of course we are unable to get to Brazil. Brazil produces, a smallholder farmer in Brazil 5,000 hectares. A smallholder farmer in Nigeria is talking about 2 hectares. Do you understand? So you can see the difference. So, and there is no way you have 1,000 hectares that you use your beer food to trek. No. You have to fly a drone.
No. Yes.
You have to fly a drone. I did 500 hectares for a certain governor, and it got to a point we couldn't trek again. So we had to use hillocks to move around the farm. So the issue of drone, flying it to be able to see how your crop life is doing, your crop health and all these things. Smart agriculture. Maybe the next episode we'll talk about smart agriculture.
Okay. So look out for that episode. So narrow into maybe some of the questions that you bring up. Then we look at how smart agricultural practice that is in line with current AI and ICT drive will help you maximize your farm, maximize your output, maximize profit on your farm. Thank you very much for watching this show and staying to this, watching till the end. Please do like, do comment, subscribe, and share. And more importantly, come and invest in Nigeria. Yeah, there are pockets of insecurities like every other country. Nigeria is on Earth. We are not in Jupiter. So there's nothing there that, there's no insecurity that is really peculiar to us. But we're handling our own, we're managing our own. And as you come in to invest, there are places that are still secured where you can invest and you get...
every nation has their peculiarity. Today, America is battling with gun. A child comes to class, shoot people. So you now say you won't go to America. And so every nation have their own peculiarity. So Nigeria is our nation. we will produce all the food that the world will need from here
That's great.
going forward.
Thank you very much.